games. The going live in the stadium since then, kind of building up to this first scrimmage. Do you feel like you guys are on track where you want to be this time?
Yeah, I think we're showing flashes of good stuff. You know, if you go back to the scrimmage, you know, we had 2-3 announcers start it, and you know, just were inconsistent after that. You know what I mean? And then today it was probably kind of the opposite. You know, I thought we started a little slow, but then did really well to move the ball period. And, when we did a goal line period, I thought the ones played really well. But just got to develop consistency, right? Which comes with inexperience and things like that, you know, because it's such a tight conference. I mean, all football is, but it's such a tight league. I mean, you can't give up 7 points early in the game that'll ultimately end up being the difference in 1 point or 3 points at the end, right? Okay, just like you can't finish in the fourth quarter poorly. So we got to develop consistency, and with that is depth, but also is experience. And so those guys got to get out there and practice it.
You certainly bring a lot of intensity to practice, just, you know, watching you
Do I?
on the team. Yes, I would say so.
Yeah.
Do you feel like your players are matching the intensity that you brought to this point of the spring ball?
I hope so. I mean, you know, I was always told as a young coach, you are what you emphasize. You know what I mean? And your players will emulate that. You know, I think you just we're not a team like we're not going to practice for 3 hours. We're not going to meet for 3 hours. You know, so if we're going to be with them that short amount of time, we want to make sure that we're capturing their hearts and minds. You know, that's our jobs as coaches, capture the hearts and minds of our players, and so I'm going to grab their attention however I can. So I tell you, you know, this didn't necessarily answer your question, but man, we got good kids, man. We do. They take coaching well. I really enjoy coaching them, and but yes, I typically do bring juice when I can.
Coach, when you inherit a new team, new roster, move somewhere else, how long do you think in your process that takes to fully feel comfortable with kind of knowing what the on-field production looks like?
Yeah, you know, normally I'd say, I kind of said this the last time, normally I would say it would take a minute, you know, but I'm really the only new coach. I mean, Coach Williams, Tron Williams is new, but he's been here before, so, you know, you have so many coaches that were here already that can give feedback and kind of be a sounding board for you for what some guys can or can't do. Not in a negative way, just what they're comfortable with, and so that's really helped me in the transition. So I feel ahead, me personally, than I normally would taking a new position.
We're getting a lot of guys reps with different units.
Mm-hmm.
As a staff, how do you go back and evaluate it, make sure everybody's being evaluated fairly?
Yeah, so we script the reps. You know, it's not just, hey, you go get in there. You know, we script anybody who's going to be in any period. We try to make it based on how they're performing, right? Okay, so you know you're almost halfway right now through spring. So normally we're not saying 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s. We're mixing on defense. We're mixing a lot, and now we're kind of drawing a line in the sand to kind of motivate them a little bit. You know what I mean? Here's the guy who's ahead right now and things like that. You know, so you start trimming the reps down a little bit, but I think the other thing is you got to make sure you put all the guys in equal situations so you can evaluate, like you just said, if this guy only plays this coverage and this guy only plays that one, how am I supposed to evaluate how they can play the other one, right? So you just got to be detailed in how you script your reps.
The corner room, a lot of new guys there.
Yeah.
How is that room stand out to you this far?
You know, we got to pick it up a little bit. Not that they're playing poorly, just consistency. You know what I mean? When you have all brand new guys, right? I mean, literally the entire room's new just about, right? They're either guys who just got here or guys who redshirted last year, didn't play hardly at all, right? So, you know, I think every day you could ask me and I would tell you a different guy stood out in the corner room, right? Just because of the peaks and valleys that are there. You know, I've seen growth in guys who are here already, like Eric Fletcher. You know, he's kind of stood out as a guy who is very different from what he was. Key Crowell, one of the new guys, competes his tail off. You know, I like him a lot for a young guy to only be a sophomore from a Division II school. He really competes. So, but like I said, every day I could pick out any of those guys. They're having a good camp.
With the scrimmage on last Friday, your first time kind of live action in Dowdy, what did you think? And did you see like an upbeat and energy from your guys?
Yeah, I did. You know, I sometimes as a coach, it's sad. You know, I come from the SEC. I know Coach Baker can relate. You know, sometimes you get so zoned in that you lose sight of the pageantry of like the stadiums you play in and things like that. You know, but walking in there for the first time, I felt it. You know, we have an unbelievable place, and then walking out of it, I felt it as well. So I think our guys had plenty of juice, but I was a little focused on the execution part of it.
You know, the nickel in this defense, do you have a term for it?
Call him the star.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Who is, you know, how versatile can that position be? Do y'all use different guys?
Yeah, I mean, it can be as versatile as we want it to be. You know, that can be more of a cover guy. That can be more of an edge blitzer. You know, there's times where we might put a bigger guy in there if you're going to face more of a 12 personnel team and things like that. There might be times we put more of a cover guy out there if you're going to play more of like a team that's going to be spread all the time and things of that nature. We've been mixing and matching a few guys at that spot. I think we have some guys who aren't repping it right now who can also do it down the road. I really just don't think to do that in the very first spring would be fair to those guys to move them from whether it be the corner room to that spot or the high safety room to that spot. So we're rolling with those guys we have right there, and that you know, they've had some quality practices. You know, I thought that room had a really good day last Thursday. They made some plays today as well, but that's got to be a dynamic room. I mean, it's a primo position. Like, kids in our defense will want to play that position because it gets to make a lot of plays.
Anything else from Coach Aldridge?